Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Chapter 9. The Mock Turtle's Story. "You cannot think how happy I am to see you again, you dear old thing," said the Duchess, as she put her arm kindly into Alice's, and they walked away together. Alice was very glad to see her in such a good mood, and she thought that maybe it was only the pepper that made her so angry when they met in the kitchen. "When I am a duchess," she said to herself, but not very hopefully, "I will not have any pepper in my kitchen at all. Soup is very good without it. Maybe it is always pepper that makes people angry," she went on, very pleased that she found a new rule. "And vinegar that makes them sour, and chamomile that makes them bitter, and barley sugar and things like that make children kind. I only wish people knew that. Then they would not be so stingy with it, you know." She had completely forgotten the Duchess by now, and she was a little surprised when she heard her voice close to her ear. "You are thinking about something, my dear, and that makes you forget to talk. I cannot tell you now what the moral is, but I will remember it soon." "Maybe it does not have one," Alice said carefully. "Tut, tut, child," said the Duchess. "Everything has a moral, if you can find it." And she moved even closer to Alice as she spoke. Alice did not like being so close to her. First, because the Duchess was very ugly, and second, because she was exactly the right height to put her chin on Alice's shoulder, and it was a very sharp chin, and not comfortable. But Alice did not want to be rude, so she accepted it as well as she could. "The game is going better now," she said, trying to continue the conversation. "It is," said the Duchess, "and the moral of that is, oh, it is love that makes the world go round." "Somebody said," Alice whispered, "that it happens because everybody minds their own business." "Ah, well, it means almost the same thing," said the Duchess, pressing her sharp little chin into Alice's shoulder as she added, "And the moral of that is, take care of the meaning, and the words will take care of themselves." "She really likes finding morals in everything," Alice thought to herself. "I think you are wondering why I do not put my arm around your waist," the Duchess said after a moment. "The reason is that I am not sure about the temper of your flamingo. Should I try it?" "He might bite," Alice answered carefully, not wanting the test at all. "That is very true," said the Duchess. "Flamingos and mustard both bite. And the moral of that is, birds of a feather stay together." "But mustard is not a bird," Alice said. "Right, as always," said the Duchess. "You explain things so clearly." "I think it is a mineral," said Alice. "Of course it is," said the Duchess, who seemed ready to agree with everything Alice said. "There is a big mustard mine near here, and the moral of that is, the more is mine, the less is yours." "Oh, I know," cried Alice, who did not listen to the last remark. "It is a vegetable. It does not look like one, but it is." "I agree with you," said the Duchess. "And the moral of that is, be what you seem to be. Or, if you want it more simple, never think that you are not what you seem to others, or that what you were or could be is different from how it looks to them." "I think I would understand it better," Alice said politely, "if I could see it written. I cannot follow it well when you say it." "That is nothing compared to what I could say if I wanted," the Duchess answered in a pleased voice. "Please do not make it longer than that," said Alice. "Oh, do not talk about trouble," said the Duchess. "I give you everything I have said as a present." "That is a cheap kind of present," thought Alice. "I am glad they do not give birthday presents like that." But she did not say it aloud. "Thinking again?" the Duchess asked, pushing her sharp little chin into Alice again. "I have the right to think," said Alice sharply, because she was starting to feel a bit annoyed. "You have about as much right," said the Duchess, "as pigs have to fly, And But suddenly, to Alice's great surprise, the Duchess's voice stopped, even in the middle of her favorite word, moral, and the arm in Alice's arm began to shake. Alice looked up, and there stood the Queen in front of them, with her arms crossed and a very angry face. "A nice day, Your Majesty," the Duchess said in a quiet, weak voice. "Now I give you a clear warning," shouted the Queen, stamping her foot. "Either you go, or your head will go, and very soon. Choose." The Duchess chose, and she was gone in a moment. "Let us go on with the game," the Queen said to Alice. Alice was too afraid to speak, so she slowly followed her back to the croquet ground. The other guests used the time when the Queen was away to rest in the shade. But when they saw her, they quickly went back to the game. The Queen only said that even a short delay would cost them their lives. While they were playing, the Queen kept arguing with the other players and shouting, "Off with his head!" or "Off with her head!" The people she chose were taken away by the soldiers. The soldiers had to stop being arches to do this. So after about half an hour, there were no arches left. All the players, except the King, the Queen, and Alice, were prisoners and waiting to be executed. Then the Queen stopped, because she was out of breath, and said to Alice, "Have you seen the mock turtle yet?" "No," said Alice. "I do not even know what a mock turtle is." "It is the thing that mock turtle soup is made from," said the Queen. "I have never seen one or heard of one," said Alice. "Come on then," said the Queen, "and he will tell you his story." As they walked away together, Alice heard the King say quietly to everyone, "You are all forgiven." "Well, that is a good thing," she said to herself, because she had felt quite unhappy about all the executions the Queen had ordered. Soon they came to a griffin, lying asleep in the sun. If you do not know what a griffin is, look at the picture. "Get up, lazy thing," said the Queen. "Take this young lady to see the mock turtle and to hear his story. I must go back and check some executions I have ordered." And she walked away, leaving Alice alone with the griffin. Alice did not really like how the creature looked, but she thought it was safer to stay with it than to go after the wild Queen. So she waited. The griffin sat up and rubbed its eyes. Then it watched the Queen until she was gone. Then it laughed quietly. "What fun!" said the griffin, partly to itself and partly to Alice. "What is the fun?" asked Alice. "Why, her," said the griffin. "It is all her idea. They never execute anyone, you know. Come on." "Everyone says 'come on' here," thought Alice, as she slowly followed it. "I have never been told what to do so much in my life. Never." They had not gone far when they saw the mock turtle in the distance. He was sitting sad and alone on a small rock. As they got closer, Alice could hear him sighing as if his heart was breaking. She felt very sorry for him. "What is he sad about?" she asked the griffin. The griffin answered almost in the same words as before. "It is all his idea. He is not really sad, you know. Come on." So they went up to the mock turtle. He looked at them with big eyes full of tears, but he said nothing. "This young lady here," said the griffin. "She wants to know your story." "I will tell it to her," said the mock turtle in a deep, hollow voice. "Sit down, both of you, and do not say a word until I finish." So they sat down, and nobody spoke for a few minutes. Alice thought to herself, "I do not see how he can ever finish if he does not begin." But she waited patiently. "Once," said the mock turtle at last, with a deep sigh, "I was a real turtle." These words were followed by a long silence. The only sounds were an occasional "Hrr" from the griffin, and the steady, heavy crying of the mock turtle. Alice almost stood up and said, "Thank you, sir, for your interesting story." But she thought there must be more, so she stayed and said nothing. "When we were little," the mock turtle continued at last, more calmly, but still crying a little sometimes. We went to school in the sea. The teacher was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise. Why did you call him Tortoise if he was not one? Alice asked. We called him Tortoise because he taught us, said the Mock Turtle angrily. Really, you are very slow. You should be ashamed of yourself for asking such an easy question, added the Griffin. Then they both sat silent and looked at poor Alice. She felt like she wanted to disappear into the ground. At last the Griffin said to the Mock Turtle, Go on, old friend, do not take all day. And he continued with these words. Yes, we went to school in the sea, though you may not believe it. I never said I didn't, Alice interrupted. You did, said the Mock Turtle. Be quiet, added the Griffin, before Alice could speak again. The Mock Turtle went on. We had a very good education. In fact, we went to school every day. I went to a day school too, said Alice. You do not need to be so proud. With extra subjects? Asked the Mock Turtle, a little worried. Yes, said Alice. We learned French and music. And washing? Asked the Mock Turtle. Of course not, said Alice angrily. Ah, then your school was not really a good one, said the Mock Turtle with great relief. At our school, at the end of the list, we had French, music, and washing extra. You probably did not need it much, said Alice, living at the bottom of the sea. I could not afford to learn it, said the Mock Turtle with a sigh. I only took the main subjects. What were they? Asked Alice. Reeling and writhing, of course, at the beginning, the Mock Turtle replied. And then the different parts of arithmetic: ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision. I have never heard of uglification, Alice said carefully. What is it? The Griffin lifted both its paws in surprise. What? You have never heard of uglifying? It cried. You know what to beautify means, I think. Yes, said Alice unsurely. It means to make something more pretty. Well then, the Griffin went on, if you do not know what to uglify means, you really are a foolish girl. Alice did not feel like asking more questions about it, so she turned to the Mock Turtle and said, What else did you learn? Well, there was mystery, the Mock Turtle replied, counting the subjects on his flippers. Mystery, old and new, with seaography. Then drawling. The teacher for drawling was an old conger eel. He came once a week. He taught us drawling, stretching, and fainting in coils. What was that like? Asked Alice. Well, I cannot show you myself, the Mock Turtle said. I am too stiff, and the Griffin never learned it. I did not have time, said the Griffin, but I went to the classics teacher. He was an old crab. I never went to him, said the Mock Turtle with a sigh. They said he taught laughing and grief. Yes, he did, said the Griffin, sighing too. And both creatures hid their faces in their paws. And how many hours a day did you have lessons? Asked Alice, quickly changing the subject. 10 hours the first day, said the Mock Turtle. 9 the next day, and so on. What a strange plan, said Alice. That is why they are called lessons, said the Griffin, because they become less each day. This was a new idea for Alice, and she thought about it for a moment before she spoke again. Then the 11th day must have been a holiday? Of course it was, said the Mock Turtle. And what did you do on the 12th day? Alice asked eagerly. That is enough about lessons, the Griffin said in a strong voice. Now tell her something about the games.